good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to BYOB with Bridget. It's another week, and here we go again. We have a great host as always, but this time it's something new for you all. We have a male in the room. Yes! Finally, we have a male in the room, and he's going to be talking about bonding. This week's topic is bonding. Today is October the 9th, and it is finally feeling like fall in the air. I see the leaves falling, the leaves changing colors, that fall foliage is going in. I tell you, it was even a little brisk this morning when I went out. So I am grateful for the fall weather because that summer heat was something else. And as always, hello to my fans, hello to my followers, hello to everybody because BYOB with Briggett is in the house and we are excited as always. And sip, I am drinking on some Chardonnay. And tonight's sponsor, we have a sponsor tonight. Okay, we have the Winking Owl. The Winking Owl, if you all can see, this is some Chardonnay by the Winking Owl, and they will be furnishing the wine for us for the rest of the year. So, hey, thank you to our sponsors. Oh, I love the sponsors. As you all saw in the video last night that I had posted, I said, hey, I found out that I may even be getting some free space. So I'm all about the free space. So hey, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with it. But tonight we are talking about bonding. The bond, not the bond as in the atomic bond, the adhesive glue. We're talking about the bond with family, the bond with friends, the bond with our coworkers, the bond that we have with our spouses at home, with our children. That's the type of bond that we are talking about tonight. And we have a wonderful host. We have Marlon Bowers Sr. of 100. Marlon, welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the opportunity to be with us tonight. Welcome.
Thank you for having me on, Bridget. This is my pleasure. And I love what you're doing. I love this. And I want to say definitely cheers to you. And I love it, and I'm ready to get into it with you.
Okay, all right. Well, Marlon, tell us a little bit about yourself before we start.
Oh, yeah, great. So, my name is Marlon. As Bridget said, I am the host. I have my own podcast as well. It's called the 100 Podcast, where we talk about relationships and the importance of keeping it 100 and not 50-50. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I have 3 great grandkids. Well, not great grandkids, but they are great kids.
Right.
3-year-old, 2-year-old, and 1-year-old. My lovely wife, and I love to travel. Love to travel. Love to see everything outside of, not just stuff that's here, but around the world. I'm a veteran, so I serve my country as well. And I just love to have fun.
Okay. Those grandkids are special. I see you got a step to 1, 2, and 3, you said.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3.
So they'll,
Yes.
they'll keep you busy. I have a 1-year-old grandson, and I'm having another one in December, and then another one is coming in April. So my grandkids are going to be just like yours, 1, 2, and 3. But you know what?
Wow.
Bring it on. That's the fruits of our labor, just showing off, and those are jewels in our crown. So, Marlon,
Yes.
we're going to go ahead and start with the questions that we have tonight. First, can you explain what bonding means in a human term, like in relationships, or terms like why it's essential for security?
Well, when you think about bonding, like you said, bonding to me is the glue. It's the glue that holds everything together, right?
Right.
So when you create a bond with someone, that means you're essentially making a promise, right? You're making a promise to that person that, you're going to go and you're going to make sure that they're good, that they're safe, that they have a safe space, whether it's, one with your family members. You want to have a bond with them so that when those times come, because times will come when you're going to need them, they're going to need you. You want to be able to have that bond so that they feel comfortable enough to come to you. Just like when you're in a relationship, you need to have a bond with your spouse so that they're comfortable and they trust that they can come to you and and be vulnerable. That's what a bond is going to take.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And in growing up, I was always taught your word is your bond.
Absolutely.
Your word is your
Absolutely. Your
bond.
word is your bond. That's all you got.
That's all you got is your word to stand on. We're not talking about you have your credit to stand on. We're not talking about you have all the money to stand on. You have your word, and your word is that bond most of the
Yeah.
time. So that is very important. How does bonding differ from just connecting casually, and what makes a bond truly secure?
So what makes a bond different when casually and are you saying casually as in like a relationship casual or
Just like a friendship casually, or even in a relationship, what makes a bond truly secure?
well it makes it secure because when you think about the mutual attachment that you're going to have with that person, right?
Right.
um the bond allows you to have those shared experiences. It allows you to to be honest, because you having a bond with someone, you want someone that's going to have honesty. In a relationship, you want the physical aspect of things. You want the intimacy of things, the consistency, the care, the time together. That's kind of where the realm of that is, that particular aspect of bonding is going to go in a relationship. And when it comes to family, it comes to the values, it comes to the ties, the loyalty, you know. You think about the bond that let's say when we think about family, a bond that you have with your child,
Right.
or your bond you have with your family and your parents and your relatives. When you think about those particular bonds, especially for me, I think about the bond I have with my children, especially my daughter. My daughter is like I'm her guy. You know what I mean? Um, you have to build those things. You have to build that bond. And building a bond doesn't mean that everything is going to be, rainbows and unicorns. It just means that you're willing to put in that work to have that particular bond with that person.
So what you're saying, from my understanding, from what I'm guessing, and you said the honesty. So in building that bond, that person has to trust you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have to trust you, and in building that trust and building that bond, it takes honesty. Just like you
Absolutely.
say, honesty, whether it be your coworker at work. Some people, don't realize that at work, your work family is your family as well, because sometimes you spend more time with them than you do with your family at home, especially
Oh,
if you have
absolutely.
especially if you in a role of management, then you there a lot of times 12, 13 hours a day, and then you come home tired going to sleep. So you have to build that bond as well with your coworkers, just as you do with your family. So how can we draw a parallel between the physical bond and adhesive bond and emotional ones in our daily life? How can we parallel
Hmm.
the two between the physical and the emotional?
Okay. Let's see.
Because this is a great question, because when I came up with this question, I said, this question can go every direction.
It can go
It can
every
go,
direction.
it can go every direction. Because just because you got a physical bond with someone, that doesn't mean you have an emotional bond with that person either.
Right, right. It's, I mean, it's a difference. Um, so if we break down, a physical bond, in other words, is like is a bond that's created through touch, presence, experiences that you share together. And I want to really highlight that presence part, right? Presence is being there, showing up. You know, um, in physical is have to understand that it's a nonverbal way of communicating care and to build trust.
Right.
Because if I don't like the way that you're touching me, I'm not going to form a bond with you. That's first and foremost. Anybody, um, that's going to create a different type of disconnect that you're going to have with that person, but it's not going to create a physical bond. You want to have, you think about the five love languages.
Right.
Okay, what's where does physical? Why is physical touch of one of the part of the five love languages? Because
Yeah.
it's a form of bonding. You know what I
Right.
mean? When you create that bond with that person, that's part of that love language. Now, when you're thinking about emotional, the emotional bond, I think more so emotional bond is safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a deep sense of connection, a closeness that you form with a person. That will come from something outside of the physical. This is you verbally talking to that person. This is you um, letting that person know that they're understood, that they're valued, that what they say to you, they can say it in a safe space and not have to worry about that you're going to run off and go tell everybody in the community what's going on.
So you
That
would
type
say,
of bond.
okay, sorry. So you would say that physical bond, when I say draw parallels between the two, really that physical bond and that emotional bond, you can't have one without the other.
They work one and the same. You got to have both.
You got to
You
have
got to
both.
have both because you
You
got to
have,
be able to communicate what you're going to be doing,
that's
even on
right.
the physical side.
And I like what you said. You said, like if somebody touch you, you're not gonna let somebody just touch you that you don't have any feelings for. And you're not gonna just uh be with anybody that you don't trust.
Oh,
You can't
absolutely.
turn your back to somebody if you don't trust them. You can't turn your back to them. So if you don't trust them, you don't have no feelings for them because you just don't
None.
trust them.
Yep. None
So
at
those
all.
two kind of work together because I don't see you having one without the physical bond without having the emotional bond. Now, you know
Yeah.
what? Once upon a time, the young people before they gain wisdom and knowledge, they might have those two may not work together. But for I would say the 35 and older club, you know that the physical bond and the emotional bond is going to work together. Other than that, you don't really have a bond.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
for someone that's struggling with a broken bond, mm, a broken bond, which is we all know that your bond in this sense is trust, meaning
Yeah.
trust. So like after a breakup or betrayal, what is their first step to rebuild, to start rebuilding, to secure themselves? Because right now they're broken and
Hmm.
they bond with the person that they trust, that they were honest with, that they put their love into, now has pretty much broke their bond. And I know
Right.
you do a lot of talking about relationships on 100.
Yes.
So tell us how that person can deal with that betrayal after their bond has been broken with the person that they love.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the part where I love to call, even when I'm talking about it on mine, is the healing, right? Healing is something that you have to want, um, because healing is what's going to get you to the next step of reestablishing what that bond is going to be. Healing is also going to allow you to set some boundaries um, with that bond. And if you highlight the word bond in boundaries, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're going through that healing phase and you're getting the help, you're getting the help to, first off, I want to make sure we're clear. You want to get the help to help yourself. You're not doing this for the other person. You're doing it for you, right? Because you had betrayal put on you. You
Mm-hmm.
felt hurt. All of these are your particular emotions, right? So you now have to sit here and deal with these particular emotions. Talking about it and saying, "Oh, well, I'll figure out how to deal with it," is not the way. You really have to talk to someone about it to help you decipher and break down. Because anytime you have an emotional setback, especially when it comes down to a bond and where your trust was taken for granted, and broken trust, the healing starts from the first point when you recognize that that happened, because you don't want it to happen again.
But I'm
So
gonna play devil's
that's the
advocate
first
right
thing.
here. I'm gonna play devil's advocate, okay?
Okay.
I don't know how to heal. I'm angry. I don't know how to heal. I don't know how to trust again. I don't know how to trust. I have been betrayed. I have been broken, and I'm angry. So I don't know how to. I don't know how to even begin to heal in this process, to even build a bond with someone else.
hmm And the first thing I'm gonna say to that, the fact that you were able to recognize all of those particular things,
Mm-hmm.
you know, at that point, those were things that made you feel good. So knowing is the first part of it. Knowing. When you recognize that, it's no different than you get someone that might be, for example, an alcoholic. Once they actually say, you know what, I am an alcoholic, at that point, that's when they have been honest with themselves, and they're ready to and going to be in the capacity to be able to go ahead and take the next step. So everything you just said right there, Briggett, was I identify that all of these things happen, and it did not make me feel good. So
Right.
now now that you recognize that part, the rest of it comes. I'm not going to say easy, but I think the hardest step is recognizing that those things hurt you. So
Right.
now you're going to go through the steps. You're going to go find yourself a, a grief counselor to talk to.
Because
Not you can't. You're
because
going to find a
grieving
counselor.
relationships can be just like grieving death.
Absolutely.
It was a principal that told me, and he wasn't my high school principal or anything. He was just like a friend of the family. And I had went through my first divorce. And
hmm
he said something, and I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. He said, divorce is like, it can be worse than death. He said, especially for the person that doesn't want the divorce, because that other person has moved on. That other person may have built another bond with someone else, another relationship. And you have to see that for yourself every day versus when someone passed away. If your spouse passed away, you grieve through the funeral process, you bury them, and then you move on with life in the healing process. But that person is still there who you once had that bond with, and you still want that bond with that person in the relationship, but that person already moved on.
Right.
So
Right.
I understand totally, and I did not understand that concept when he told me that. But after you look back at it and you look at other people in relationships and their bonding and their healing process, they don't know how to move forward, especially if that loved one is still alive, and they still have feelings for that individual.
Right.
So so I can see when you say that that they can struggle, but they have to first identify before that healing process starts. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. So Marlon, tell me this here. What advice would you give someone that has gave up all trust in people, so they refuse to bond with anyone else? That's what we were just talking about. Whether it be a work relationship, a physical relationship, or even a family relationship.
hmm I would say the first thing that you'll want to do is ask. You'll definitely want to ask why not?
Right.
Why not? We all have gone through some type of pain before in life, and we have moved forward with it. Why would you not want to open yourself up to the potential of having, let's say a life partner, or reestablishing a bond with a family member that was lost. It depends, and I think a lot of it is depending on the circumstance of what it was, right? Of course, no one is saying, go and try to build a bond with somebody that was in an abusive relationship. That's
Of
ridiculous.
course
You
not.
know what I mean?
That's different. That's different.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Um, you got to start with their why. That's the biggest thing. Um, you have to if I'm explaining this to someone, I'm asking them, to tell me, what makes this uncomfortable or hard for you.
Right.
It's another part of that, identifying what exactly it is. You know, we go back to the whole thing. Most people will resist because of trust issues, make it hard for people to trust again.
Right.
I will go to the next step of acknowledging their feelings. A lot of times people don't always acknowledge someone's feeling. They listen to respond instead of listening to hear. So that advice is, I wouldn't, I would tell them, I definitely wouldn't want to pressure them into anything, because you just dealt with pressure
Right.
from the,
Right.
from the, from
Right.
the front. I will introduce, some small steps, just small steps. Take things slow. Don't put it in, and never set a time frame for something. Don't set a time frame for reestablishing that trust, in being able to want to build a bond with someone again. Do little low level activities. Go take a walk, watch a show or something. Give that person some grace, and also give yourself some grace.
Right.
Um, because
Absolutely.
this new person doesn't know what you went through. But let me back up on that. Before you even deal with a new person, go through your steps first.
Right.
Don't go dealing with somebody else and expect them to be able to help you get through this.
That's
That's
right.
not
That's
fair.
great advice. Great advice. You
Yeah,
have to heal first before
you
you
got
can
to
move
heal
on.
first.
That's right.
Yes,
You have to heal first before we move on. But we're gonna wrap
yes,
this here up. We had a great conversation, everyone, about bonding. As Marlon stated, before, bonding is building trust, being honest with your partner, being honest with your friends, being honest with your coworker, because that's the only way to be, is to be honest with individuals, in order to be honest with yourself, and building that bond make concrete connections, concrete foundations. And in the case where a bond has been broken in your relationship, we all know that it takes a healing process. It takes a healing
absolutely.
process in order to move forward. But before you move forward with someone else, as Marlon stated, you go through your steps first, because you don't want to bring those baggage into a relationship with someone else who don't have nothing to do with that bond of yours that has been broken. So,
Absolutely.
Mr. Bowers, do you have anything to say on closing? You can tell everyone about your podcast that comes on Thursday night.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely. Just one more other thing. I want to make sure I tell your audience is, set healthy boundaries when you deal with people. Set healthy
Great,
boundaries. You
great.
know, and realistic boundaries. But again, Bridget, thank you for allowing me to be here. I appreciate it. But for you guys, check my podcast out. I'm on Wednesday nights and Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time on TikTok Live. Definitely come in. We have a good time. Bring your drink. Very interactive, and we got a different topic
Very
every week.
It's very interactive. Yes,
Yeah.
it's very interactive. I had the opportunity to sit in on one of his podcasts from last week, and yes, it's very interactive, and lots of comments, lots of questions, and we
Yes,
can go all night. That's right. That's right.
it literally can.
That's right. That's right. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Marlon, for being a part of BYOB with Briggett. And we look forward to you staying on that train with us, because we're going a lot of places. Next time you come on the show, you're going to be in a live studio with us, okay?
Hey, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cheers. Sip, sip. That was Marlon Bowers. senior, ladies and gents. We appreciated his talk with us on bonding. Wasn't he great or what? So we learned some stuff tonight. We learned about first, your word is your bond. That's worth more than money. That's worth more than your credit right now because people need each other. So your word is your bond. And also, if that bond has been broken, go through the healing process. It's okay. Things happen, life happens. But if that bond has been broken before you move forward to enter into somebody else's life, make sure you follow those steps in healing yourself first. And with that being said, as always, love yourself in spite of all your flaws. Thank you for participating and watching BYOB with Briggett. Sip, sip, and I will see you guys next week.